Hang in there, it is.
That's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
All right.
This is the intro like 40 times.
Yeah, that was never a dull moment around here, Smylie, especially when we're producing things on the fly. I was having apologies for the technical difficulties. Hand up right out of the gate. For some reason, I could not hear the intro, but you could hear the intro.
We heard the intro.
Did you? Everyone heard the intro.
It was ESPN Ocho came in live for about 40 intros.
I just want to make sure everyone's very pumped up and excited. You heard the theme music. You heard Smylie telling you. You heard Smylie shooting 61. You heard Smylie telling you this is a Smylie Show. Just hammering all that home.
We were one intro away from me hopping off and just trying another day. I had enough of that intro.
Well, we're thoroughly introduced. So this is, as you heard 4 to 5 times, this is the Smylie Show. And this is our full recap of the 124th U.S. Open, where we were all last week from the pool deck. This is a much less interesting backdrop. Smylie's back home in Birmingham. I am listening to the smooth sounds of movers downstairs pack up my house so I can move tonight and tomorrow, which is lots of fun. But right now, we're here to break down, golly, Smylie, I mean, one of the more thrilling finishes to a golf tournament. And I don't think I'm being a prisoner of the moment here. I really think that's one of the best finishes I've seen in a long, long time. And let's just start big picture on just the emotions and just the feelings of that day in so many different directions, the highs for Bryson, the lows for Rory, and just what it was like witnessing that entire thing play out right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, it was a tough scene. It was a real tough scene. And I apologize for the audio. We're also having audio issues with my mic, so bear with us again. We'll get that sorted through. But, I'm just reflecting on the day. I think at the 9th hole is when I felt like this thing was going to get juicy. Like, it was going to be juicy. You know, when Rory is sitting there on the 9th green and has this 10-footer for birdie. And really, you know, at the 5th hole is like the classic Pinehurst. We can kind of get into like fair or unfair type of debate later. But the 9th hole is when, you know, Bryson hits it over the green at 8. And then it's the first time that like they kind of looked at each other and trying to figure out who was going to go first. And Rory got in quick putted him. Like he didn't give him the opportunity to chip first to like have a roar. And Rory gets up there and drains the putt. And I was like, okay, that was sick. Because now, like, Bryson's got to be able to respond to it and hits an incredible chip shot. So that kind of set up the afternoon and the rest of the back nine for what I consider to be, like, one of the coolest experiences I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, this is something you noted, very good job of noting on the broadcast, you know, just that match play sort of feel. It's something you noted and discussed on Pardon My Take. She joined last night, and that episode dropped this morning to break down. It was a really fun interview. Listen to that this morning. Of just running through the whole tournament with those guys who were clearly thrilled by the outcome as well. And PFT asked a question that it kind of struck me as something I hadn't really thought about with regard to Rory and just watching every shot. And I wonder if just you had any additional reflections on that of like, do you think that hurt him at all? Where you know, the goal obviously is to go out and play your game and you know, and shoot a low number, but at the same time, you know, you got to make sure you're going low enough to win the U.S. Open. And so I understand why Rory is paying attention to what Bryson's doing and making sure that he is taking advantage of all the opportunities he has to move it to a number where he can win the tournament. But do you think in any way, shape, or form, him paying attention to what Bryson was doing, you know, kind of got in his head a little too much and maybe had something to do with those two misses down the stretch?
I think it helped him more than it hurt him.
Okay.
The only time I think it may have hurt him was on 16. I really the 3-putt on 16 is inexcusable. That was a really, really bad 3-putt and just a lapse of concentration. Rory doesn't 3-putt from there if you give him 500 golf balls. I really believe that he would never 3-putt with 500 more balls. That's how like simple it really was. The only thing I can think of on the putt which looked to be a poor stroke, was that maybe he was kind of like running numbers in his head, thinking like doing some math and just like wasn't focused on the putt. Next thing you know, he just kind of quick stroked it and hit a poor putt. And once he missed that, I was like, what are we witnessing? Because just bogeying 15 and bogeying 16, I'm like, man, 17 ain't going to be an easy par. And who knows what's going to happen on 18. But let me just kind of go through a little bit more of that back nine. And it's the extent of just kind of what I saw. The 10th hole was sick when Rory made that 25-footer, and then Patrick made it right on top, which, by the way, Patrick Cantlay was like the tick that would not go away.
Yes.
And he was just hanging around. And it caught me sometimes, and I have to probably be a little bit better in the future to keep up the energy with somebody who I didn't think was going to win the golf tournament. I was more, when I had a chance to come in, I was just trying to tell the story of Rory and Bryson and just what I was witnessing as far as just how Rory was handling kind of the chess match between the two. And sometimes when Cantlay was over it, I would kind of have to, update you on the Rory part of it. So I kind of did feel like I probably could have done a little better job with Cantlay's stuff. But he waddles a lot, by the way. Big waddler.
Interesting. A waddle guy. Yeah, he does have sort of that plodding walk to him.
No, it's the, like, when he's putting. It's like the...
Oh, yeah. The foot shuffle. The little, yeah. There is definitely some penguin action going on over those putts.
No, Bryson's a waddler when he walks. It's like, yeah. He looks like the Cookie Monster walking down the fairway when you like from 300 yards away.
We got the Rory bounce, we got the Bryson waddle walk, and we have the Patrick Cantlay waddle putting
shuffle.
The shuffle, the little foot shuffle. Yeah, I thought Cantlay to me was exactly what we said the last couple of days, where he needed to go out and just play steady golf. And just not try to do anything too crazy in any sort of direction. And you said on the show on Saturday night, you're like, if he goes out and shoots 1 under or 2 under, he has a chance to win the golf tournament. Well, he ends up shooting an even par 70. 1 would have got him tied for second with Rory, and 2 would have gotten him into a playoff with Bryson DeChambeau. So it was out there for the taking, and he makes bogey at 16, and kind of that more or less rules him out of it. But he just kind of stuck around the entire time. We got some comments here that we got to get to that are great. First and foremost,
before we get there, kind of
sure.
run you through. Let me just run you through the back nine to give us an opportunity to.
Yeah.
Let's settle this thing. I want to get to the 13th hole.
Oh man,
because that to me is like being on the grounds for that was sick. I kind of wish they would have made a little bit more of a difficult hole location there, just to make it a little bit more drama. But we had an amazing TV because we had Rory playing, off the backstop of the grandstands, ricocheting all the way back, getting up and down. And once, because in my ears, I can hear Bryson making bogey at 12. So I'm like, holy crap, he's gonna win a major championship. Like it's going to happen. And then Rory's over his tee shot at 14, over the ball, like about to hit. And I had known that Bryson had hit, and I heard Bones say it's on a good line. It's a fairway medal. It's like, that's going to be really good then.
Yes.
And I watched him weigh in. I was like, oh, boy. And he was about to take it away, backs off. And I'm like, oh, boy. All right, here we go. Let's go. And then hits that duck hook at 14 and gets a lucky break, then leaves in a good spot, makes par. But 15 is where I felt like it was the first mistake he made all day. And
Rory, you're talking about Rory, yeah, pulling that 7-iron instead of that 8-iron.
Let me get my book real quick because I want to run through the numbers.
Okay. Well, while Smiley's going to run through the numbers, I'll tap dance here for a little bit while you look at his esteemed trophy case behind him.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got, literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You rarely see a tournament champion, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple bogey on any hole and win a championship, and he still did it. To me, I mean, that was really the story.
You look at his last 8 starts, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitation. His finishes are first, second, first, 8th, second, first.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Would you have liked to see Saturday's pin on Sunday?
I think it was good for Saturday. I think Sunday was, I just would have maybe tucked it in the corner a little bit more. Yeah, because it was 305 yards to the front of the green, 316 middle, which was like a perfect tweener for Rory, perfect 3-wood for Bryson. But I wanted to look at 15. So 15's number was, as you could see, it was 187 front, 205 to the hole, and it was hot, and it was down off the right. And when I got the signal that Rory was hitting 7-iron, I was like, that's the wrong club. It's an 8-iron. And I was thinking that maybe he's just going to hit some type of high soft cut 7-iron. And you got to factor in at least an extra 7 yards you can get out of something when you're in a moment like that, and it's hot and it's downwind. All we needed to carry it was 192 yards. And I really felt like he could hit an 8-iron 180. And that's all it was. With the heat, the downwind, adrenaline, 8-iron was enough club. And guess where 8-iron wasn't getting you?
Off
Over
the
green and into the native area. So I think that was a poor club choice at 15. And then we had lack of concentration at 16. Inexcusable 3-putt. Great up and down at 17. And then 18, crummy lie. Not a good lie at all. And I felt like there was a chance that he could have done something with it. But it was a 50-50 one, whether he can get it onto the green or not. And he just, it was weird how it came out, too. I thought it was going to stumble into that bunker and have a similar shot that Bryson had. Gets up near the green, and it was an easy pitch shot. Easy pitch shot. And that's his only other mistake, I felt like, all day was the pitch shot. I felt like he should have been playing for par, and it was really, really simple to keep it short of that hole. That was your only goal, was keep it short of the hole there.
As Bryson did, right?
Well, I don't think Bryson was trying to keep it short. I think Bryson's just like, let me just get it onto the green. So I think that was a huge mistake. And even from me reading it from behind the green, I saw a putt that was inside left. And now if he would have hit it inside left, he could have made it, but he probably would have had 20 feet coming back based on the read of seeing it. So for those of you that are watching on TV, that read was terrible. I probably would have missed it low as well. That was definitely a learning experience, and not even probably just laying out next time, and just because we kind of had some dead air. I was like, wow, the putt's just going a little to the right. I would play left center, and I probably shouldn't have given an exact spot because it doesn't matter. I should have just said going right. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But a tricky putt, and I'll reference to that because I asked Justin after the round. I was like, hey, what did the putt do? He's like, well, he aimed it left and pushed it. It's debatable on where you needed to start it to make it. But I guess he had told me that Max hit the same putt in the practice round. It said it was a really goofy putt, that it was a type of putt that if you started it well outside the hole, that it just hung there. And so I thought that was really interesting, that it was a difficult read. And we talked about this all week. The guys that were making putts had uphill looks. Not many guys were making downhill sliders left to right or right to left. So blame the chip shot. And let's get into the comments. I just wanted to kind of get into just.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think just a couple of different reflections on some stuff you said there is that 15 was so. I know we just talked about a bad pitch shot that Rory hit, but he had pitched it so well all week long. That's something we talked about numerous days, and so that's why 15 was confusing to me. What was just that we had a situation where if you leave it short. That pin was kind of front-ish right. Like you have an easy little pitch up there and can get up and down like you've been doing all week long. We saw 15 for Rory.
It's not easy up and down, but it's
nothing was, but but better than being off the back, right?
He would have had something inside of 10 feet for par, and not playing for bogey. I just felt like he makes par there. I think he cruises.
I think so too.
And I think it was a bad club.
Well, it's just, and that one was, that's before we get to the two tough missed putts. 16 was, you just referenced it there. I mean, 16 was like kind of above the hole, kind of like on the side of the hole. Definitely wasn't an uphill putt. 18 was above the hole, and it's just two tough spots to leave yourself with those putts that are just there's all those subtleties and small moves with the grain on those greens and the speed which they're rolling, and those are the ones that are uncomfy. It's the little inside 4-footers that slide just a little bit, so you can't necessarily hit it inside the hole. You're trying to pick a spot and match it to pace, and that's how you miss those.
It was a tricky read. It looked like he wasn't comfortable how far he had it out left. I was watching from the side, and I noticed like he hit up on it, and it looked like he just did not want to pull it left. And from the side angle, it looked like a push to me. And I don't think you can blame the putt on 18 because it wasn't an easy putt. I think plenty of guys would have missed it. But the chip shot, I would have said if you'd put a lot of guys there on the chip shot, a majority of them would have left it short in that scenario, which would have been the much, much easier putt.
Yeah. So a couple comments on few items in the chat I'd love to get to. First, we got to shout out AV. AV's in here commenting his little heart out. Good to see you, buddy. We have someone, Gazzer99. Charlie clearly struggled with the intro as much as Rory and 3-footers down the stretch. Tough
the
scene
intro
for me.
Was a tough scene, man.
Sick burn, but fair. There are two kind of questions. We have one from Walker McNeil asking about where does Bryson rank among major championships since 2010. And he's saying amongst his friends, they're saying some of his buddies are saying Bryson is greater than Brooks, as we said here today. I think that's insane. Brooks has won 5 majors. I don't think you can put Bryson in his 2 U.S. Opens above Brooks. But just wondering where, with this second U.S. Open win, with this second major for Bryson, where does he kind of sit among the major winners of, let's say, the past 10 years in your mind amongst his contemporaries in terms of legacy?
It's a tough question to answer, right?
Yeah.
Because, he's look at the U.S. Open in Wingfoot he won by 6 and dominated, right? And there was times this week in which he dominated. Let's say he had his driver that he was hitting all week. He could have dominated yesterday. We don't know. The reason why it was close is because he was not hitting fairways.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can he be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
the bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
Do you believe that Bobrovsky's minus 420 number right now using the FanDuel Sportsbook is an appropriate pricing?
I look at how strong Bobrovsky's been able to be, and he's been stealing these games. And when we look across the board for the rest of the Florida Panthers, there's not that standout player out there. So you got to remember, this is a voted on award.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Big debate, which is I think a conversation worth having, is whether it was fair or unfair. Did it penalize people that were maybe hitting good shots too much and maybe not penalizing players that were not hitting good shots enough? And I think that to me is something worth talking about, because I think some players got away with murder on some shots where Rory at number 5 didn't hit a shot, walked away with a 6.
Yeah, I mean, the course discussion I think is an interesting one to me, because you see a lot of complaints, or maybe not complaints, but just saying, hey, I would have liked for there to be more wire grass or more of a, I think the general sentiment being, I don't want guys to be able to hit it in those sort of native areas and be able to hit a clean shot out. And my retort to that would be a couple things. One, I love the randomness of it, the variability of it. I mean, every time Bryson hit a ball over there on Sunday, there was this amazing moment of drama for like a couple seconds where you're just watching that ball plinko through all the grass, and where's it going to end up? Where's it going to end up? And then it stops, and you're trying to get a read on the line. Is he going to be able to play it out of there? And that was all week long with a lot of players, but especially the drama on Sunday. I found that to be interesting. And I think the second thing there is that, and maybe there could be a discussion about green firmness and just, they continue to water these greens throughout the week because they didn't want it to have a situation where they got out of hand and players complained. But I felt like to execute a shot out of that area, maybe you get a good line, you can get a clean, you can strike it clean and have a chance, but you still have to hold greens that were difficult for everyone to hold the entire week long. So it wasn't like this foregone conclusion. You still had to hit a really good shot out of there to give yourself a chance to make a par or a birdie or whatever else. So I didn't find it to be like, I think the course was plenty penal. And I think, there were 8 guys that finished under par, and the winning score is -6. Like, to me, I didn't feel like, wow, I really could have used a little ramped up test. Like I feel like they nailed it in terms of the setup. And the only, maybe minor gripe you could say is like, I wish the greens were a little firmer on Sunday, but that's about it, I think.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you there. I just kind of think about the 5th hole. I think that just keeps coming to mind to me, with Patrick Cantlay hit a 7-wood kind of right at the flag, which was never going to stay up if it wasn't enough club. where Rory like played it out to the right. He played the safe shot at the right side of the green, and I felt like an idiot because a lot of times down the fairway, I give guys like thumbs up, like good shot. I don't look back. I just kind of throw my hand up when I think it's good. And I thought it was like deep enough in the green, far enough right to do that. And then that ball starts going. I'm like, shit. So I felt like Cantlay took a worse line and hit a worse shot, even though it was a good shot, a worse shot than Rory. He ends up in the bunker with a great situation, get up and down for birdie, and Rory ends up in a situation where he's just scraping to try to find a way to make par. Mm-hmm. So that to me is like, I wasn't in love with the way the fifth hole like shook out yesterday. But
can I jump in there and say Old Ben has given us a $5 tip and commented on the fifth hole. He said, "I'm sorry, but Rory's second shot on 5 was perfect and was not rewarded. Don't talk to me about luck in that situation. That was the course not rewarding." I think that's the first tip we've received on YouTube. So, Old Ben, thank you. But I also wanted to
you can get tips on here?
I guess so. We're all learning this live, but I felt this is the right place to both make that note as you're discussing that hole and also say, thanks, Old Ben. We appreciate you. We'll buy ourselves like a coffee or half a beer or something like that. No, anyway, continue.
I'll buy Old Ben a beer down the road.
There we go.
We don't want your monies. We don't want your monies.
I mean, but and just to continue on 5, is that I understand where people are coming from saying, hey, that's a little unfair. It's a tough bounce, but I felt like that's kind of how it goes in a U.S. Open from time to time. I mean, we saw guys get some good bounces, guys get some good bad bounces. I think it's tough when you keep, it feels like Bryson got so many good bounces, but then he came down to 18 and he, was in a tough spot and he tried to get relief. I was curious what was going to happen there. Got denied relief and had to go execute a shot, to put himself in that front bunker, and then had to go execute another shot to win the U.S. Open. So I understand fans of Rory saying 5 felt unfair, but I don't think the U.S. Open is always fair. That's just how it goes sometimes.
It's just a conversation wanted to have. And, I think too, Bryson, I've touched a little bit on Rory. And first off, I can't imagine how Rory feels because I was so deflated in the car, like leaving. It didn't even. It felt wrong. It's like I just witnessed something that I wasn't supposed to see.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
I said this on PMT last night, that people are going to remember the putts that he missed. They're not going to remember all the putts that he made, and he made so many. He made so many big putts, and that was the thing that held him back last year in majors. When I'm watching him just trying to get momentum in majors, and he's hitting the right shots, and he has these opportunities to get himself, really in the thick of it, in the hunt, and just would miss it majority of the times, and made the big putt at 14, then hits the wrong club at 15, and then just has a brain lapse at 16. I'm like, oh my God, is it going to happen? And then Bryson hits a bad drive at 18. I'm like, he's going to luck into a playoff. He's going to have a chance. And then, of course, Bryson hits it in that bunker. And I want to give you just like my bird's eye view. I walked up into the bunker, like I'm on the right side of the bunker, 15 yards away from him. And as he walked in, I noticed how much sand was in that bunker. It just looked like there was more sand than other bunkers. And I'd heard that they had put more sand in some of the bunkers out there, and especially ones that hadn't been hit out of, you would think that there would be more sand, like that one. I guarantee that bunker probably got 10 people playing out of it all week. And I was thinking, all right, where's the playoff holes? Because I didn't know what the playoff holes were. Because I knew I was going to be with Rory. I just didn't know where I was going. So I'm kind of like walking around in circles trying to figure out, where am I going? And then he gets up there, and I'm sure you saw my tweet thinking that I would hit that 55-yard bunker shot over the clubhouse and into the pool. And Bryson,
right where we recorded our journals the last 3 days.
And Bryson, dude, he took such a lash at it, man. Like the nerve that you have to have, and to be able to quiet your mind, to be able to execute in a situation like that, tells you what type of guts that Bryson DeChambeau has. And we'll remember Rory's misses, but luckily in a situation like this, at least somebody went and won this thing. It wasn't a situation where Rory's on 18 green, misses a 3-footer, and Bryson wins in the scoring 10. No. He had an opportunity to make par, missed the putt. Bryson won the golf tournament. So I think that's what makes this U.S. Open fun to talk about. It was fun to watch. It wasn't, we're going to remember Rory's misses. I'm going to remember the Rory makes and misses, where everybody won't. But I think it's much more of a credit to Bryson just absolutely getting up there and just playing with just stones, man.
I want to do a full unpack on Bryson, all things Bryson. There's a comment from Sean McCormick I want to get to in a little bit here. But I just, briefly want to touch on some of the things you just referenced as it relates to Rory. It is amazing to me, going back and looking at the stats for the fourth round, that despite those two horrific short misses, he still finishes 8th in strokes gained putting on the day, which, to your point, is an indication of how good he putted up until those last two misses. And it really is tough to, this is the outcome for him, but that definitely gets lost to history, as you've said. And then in the immediate aftermath of that, there's a question here, Sean Leach. What are your guys' take on Rory immediately leaving and already taking off on his jet by the time Bryson held the trophy? Obviously, heartbreak for Rory, but still, we saw the video of Rory peeling out of the parking lot, clearly frustrated. This is a tough one, and I think your perspective on this is going to be very unique. And I'm curious to hear your take on this. But it's, of course, he's now had a near miss at the 2022 Open Championship at St. Andrews, one that he wanted to win dearly. Had a near miss last year at LACC with Wyndham Clark. Has this near miss, and probably the most gut-wrenching of them all, because he had it right there in his hands with two short-made putts. He wins this tournament. Your position as someone who has both played at the highest professional level and also experienced a gut-wrenching Sunday at a major championship, but also now as someone who is a member of the media who's covering these things, What is your take on Rory sort of leaving early without speaking to the media and peeling out in that sort of way? Because for me, it's like I totally can understand those emotions while also saying it's kind of the deal. It's part of the deal is to, on the back end, no matter how frustrated you are, you can choose to not do it, but there are going to be reactions to that are going to not be favorable for you or your brand or however you want to look at that.
I was fine with it. I mean, it's unfortunate that his car just happened to be in the media parking lot or wherever he was, to where he has cameras on him, and the last thing he wanted in that situation was probably to be around anybody. I just try to put myself in those shoes. I probably would have. I'm not Rory McIlroy. I don't claim to be. I don't know what it's like to have a 3-footer on 16 and a 4-footer on 18. I don't know what that feels like. I know what it feels like on the front nine. I don't know what it feels like on the back nine. But I just think that I had this note. It was 3,598 days since his last major that he had won. It's a long time. 35 majors in between. I think he's in his own right to leave. I don't what is he going to say? Congrats, Bryson. Who knows if he doesn't like Bryson? Like, what is he going to sit up there and just lie and just be like, "Congrats, Bryson. Like, good job." Like, what is he supposed to say? He's not. So, like, in my opinion, why are we talking about this? It's the only reason we're talking about it is because we have a video of him peeling out of the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, having been there and in and out of that area all week long, because it was the entry point to get into the pool to set up for our recap journals, it could not have been a worse place for him to have to park, because there was a separate sort of courtesy car parking area that, I'm not going to pretend to understand the intimate details of how they get all these cars in here, but there was like a line of cars.
I kind of want your breakdown on on the car logistics.
Well, there's a little bit of that, because there was literally the line. There had to be maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 parking spaces that were the closest to the clubhouse at Pinehurst, and they were all for past U.S. Open champions. Rory, of course, won a Congressional, right? So those parking spaces are sitting right there, and it bleeds right into the media, the flash area, where all the media congregated every single day to get quick quotes, and then you walked up a set of stairs into the main media availability room where it was in a tent, air conditioned. Guys sat at the podium and took questions. The thing you're accustomed to seeing from post round interviews for all these guys. So it just so happened that where Rory had to park was right there where everyone was rushing to head to get ready to interview Bryson and, supposedly Rory right after the round. And so he leaves with about, 50 media members all with their phones out ready to record the entire thing and post it on the internet. And that's exactly what happened.
I would be keeping receipts if I was Rory. Like, if you had your phone out and you were taking videos of me right there at the end, I would be like, I'd be so upset. But I think Gary makes a good point in the comments. He said a handshake before bouncing, which is probably the right balance, and no media needed. And it just makes me think of a hard-fought Game 7 where, in the NBA Finals, wherever it is, like the guys eventually come together and it's just good sportsmanship. And I think that's probably, whether he wanted to or not, that was the right thing to do. But no media, didn't need to do media. That to me is not even a debate. I don't see what are we going to get answered? It's like, Rory, what were you thinking about that putt on 16? He's like, I don't know. I wanted to make it. What did you think about the putt on 18? Broke more than I thought. Well, SK thought that same thing. I didn't see it that much break.
Well, this to me is actually, it's a funny bookend to the week that started with Brooks Koepka just bouncing on Thursday and doing a text interview with Eamon Lynch, because he's like, what am I going to answer in terms of a question that is, what am I going to get that's new or different or that adds insider value? It's like, I'm going to go home. It's Father's Day week. I'm going to hang out with my son. I'm going to hang out with my wife, and I'm going to go get ready to watch a Florida Panthers Stanley Cup game. And that's a lot better use of my time than talking to the media. And I think that what Rory suffers from here is a little bit of the people who are complaining are the ones with the largest megaphones and the largest followings.
Rory Mac, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You know, this guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be in a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s. And you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Do you believe that Bobrovsky's minus 420 number right now using the FanDuel Sportsbook is an appropriate pricing?
I look at how strong Bobrovsky's been able to be, and he's been stealing these games. And when we look across the board for the rest of the Florida Panthers, there's not that standout player out there. So you got to remember, this is a voted on award.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I'm so far from a Rory McIlroy in terms of sporting accomplishments or anything, but losing sucks, dude. Competing and losing sucks 100% of the time, and to do it in that fashion, I am not a chipper, friendly human being in the wake of something like that at a much more microscopic level. So I can understand the way he felt, and I think he's a victim a little bit here of that, and just this is. It's just his whole track record the last couple of months and everything. He's been in the news for a number of different items that are high profile, and people are kind of ready to jump on him and pile on him. So, sure, he could have handled it differently, but how much differently do you want a guy to handle it in the wake of a crushing loss? And that's all people want to talk about too with these things is, when's he going to win another major? When's he going to win another major? So, anyway,
where does this event compare to you for watching it on TV like you were, to seeing what happened on 16 and 18, to the Chambers Bay U.S. Open with DJ 3-putting? Was it more or less? The DJ thing happened so fast that it was over before we knew it. It was holy shit, Jordan just won the U.S. Open, where it felt like it was just this elongated kind of similar type of wow factor as that, but we just had to we got to watch it for a longer period of time, I guess.
Well, I think it's funny because it's such different times in my life, right? I'm trying to think of what I was doing for the Chambers Bay U.S. Open, and probably with a bunch of buddies, middle of the summer, drinking beers, hanging out, completely different setting. Whereas yesterday, I was back home for Father's Day. I'm sitting in a living room with, my wife, my son, my parents, and my 2 dogs. And it was, a completely different feel, but it was again, I can be prisoner of the moment, but it was electric, and I was going crazy, and my son was running around and clapping his hands, and he was all excited because we were excited. And so I think that's not a great answer to your question, but it's just more of a reflection on the way you feel in a moment. And I think the difference being that, even though Rory lost this in the same way that DJ lost this, it still took Bryson hitting that last sort of shot and stamping it. We thought there was going to be a playoff there, right? We thought there was no way he was going to get it up and down out of that bunker. And I think that was the best possible way for it to end. Instead of, Rory did give it away, but Bryson had to go out and do something to make sure that he got a hand on that trophy.
Which
and I think that was nice.
Like, where does it rank of all-time majors as far as just like the theater?
Dude, like I'm trying not to be prisoner of the moment. I can't think of one.
I just think it was that damn good. Just the being there in person and just the back and forth, the entire back nine, for them waiting on each other to hit. They would wait. Like, Rory watched every single shot that he hit on the back nine, and then he would hit. It was just this chess game back and forth, which made it so much fun on TV because you weren't missing anything live because they were waiting. Like, nothing was on tape. Everything was live, which doesn't happen. Like, this never happens because a lot of times when two groups are playing in different time, like, they're playing shots at the same time. But that back nine, everybody was playing in sequence. It was awesome.
So some of the comments, Barry is talking about Tiger in 2019 at the Masters, and that's a great point for a very different reason, where you have the same feeling of, I cannot move from this television. Like, I must sit here and I can't do anything else but, take this in. That was different because that was like a legacy thing of like, are we going to see Tiger do it again? I don't think the drama of the specific tournament was the same as yesterday.
Yeah.
Like it was cool for sure. I'm not taking anything away from that win, but yesterday was just pure. Like, I mean, and it helps that it was two big superstars on rival tours and things like that. But plug any of the top 20 into Bryson's seat and into Rory's seat, and you're having the exact same, or maybe not the exact same, but a very similar reaction to how it went down. Of like, whoa, this was thrilling. We have John Glenn Binsfield here, stayed up till 1 a.m. to watch it here in Europe, couldn't turn it off. Like, it was can't miss television.
The only thing about the Tigers win in 19, which is a total, you can make an argument that that's up there or better than, just Tigers' return to glory, if you will, as Jim Nantz had an epic call on. Like, every single player getting to 12 and hitting into the water, that's similar type of crazy drama where Tiger then hits it on the green. You're like, okay, that's why he's the GOAT. But also, just to add to 19 of why it doesn't have that same feeling to me, and I think it starts with the weather. They had to play threesomes early that morning, and they're off split tees. It was a weird day for an Augusta Sunday. It's not the sunshine with twosomes. It was threesomes. It was just a different type of experience that I don't think it doesn't take away from how good the drama was. It just was different.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And it's it was, for me, if you're talking about storylines, that was a legacy play for Tiger, amazing, but it wasn't like, you go back and I mean, you rewatch Tiger's highlights, but you wouldn't go back and be like, man, I can't wait to rewatch the tournament itself because it was so interesting.
Well, we talk about like the Country Club Ryder Cup, like amazing moment with Justin Leonard winning on 17. I'm just thinking of the all-time great golf moments. That, like, where did yesterday stack up? That bunker shot is going to be remembered as a what? A top one shot in history. Because I mean, it's a top, in my pea-brain head right now, that's totally biased of the moment. It's a top 5 shot in history, right?
Well, yeah. Well,
Am I way off? Off base here?
Let's pull some recent memory shots. Like, for me, I was standing 10 yards from Matt Fitzpatrick when he hit that 9-iron out of the bunker at the Country Club.
Better
than that. Better than that shot, really.
It's better than that shot.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, you have a better feel on a degree of guilt. And listen,
shot.
we
Way
can't,
better.
As we kind of go into this with Bryson too, like, we can't not mention the fact that Johnson Wagner is just a gift. He's a gift to the golf world. And the fact that he's out there under the cover of darkness, recreating multiple shots, went back and tried to hit Bryson's shot.
got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Let's do that. Okay, so then that's your standings update for one and done.
Unless you just want to do it now, we can just do it now too if you want.
I'm not ready to do it now. I'd like to build a little suspense, build a little anticipation. I'd like to still bask in the glow of my Bryson DeChambeau win, my 4th win of the season.
I could do an exacta for the Travelers.
Look at you, horse racing guy. Little throwback to the PGA Championship in Louisville.
I literally just checked my pockets, thinking I had 12 first tickets in my pockets. I had the 7, the 3, the 5, and the 1, and
just take them outside, just tear them up because none of them are good.
There's no sweeter feeling than handing all my tickets to a Louisville friend and be like, "Did I win or lose?" And they're like, "Lose, lose, lose." Okay, we're robbing. We just robbed this place. We robbed this place. Lose, lose. Hand the tickets to the register, and they said you won $42. I'm like, that's not robbing the place. Actually, I lost money on the ticket.
We got Johnny C saying, better box that, Smylie. Sick horse racing term, Johnny. Really love that.
Oh, we got Graham. By the way,
we got Graham. Hey, congrats.
Engaged.
Congrats to Graham and Taylor for getting engaged. Saw that on Instagram yesterday. Love to hear it. That's one of our good buddies out of Big Spring in Louisville. Appreciate you watching and congrats.
I owe him so many drinks.
So many drinks. I actually feel bad. Graham, please tell us what we owe you in the comments, and then we'll see if we can get old Ben to tip us that amount so we can settle our debts. Oh man. So what anything final to kind of wrap up? I mean, we covered a lot of Bryson, a lot of Rory, hit some kind of names, Tony Finau, Ludwig Aberg, talked a little Cantlay, talked about the course. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty comprehensive review. Anything else worth talking about as we kind of play this into Travelers Week?
Yeah, the U.S. Open at Pinehurst Summer 2 was badass. That was so tight. I'm going to remember that forever. And, man, I want to just take myself back and just – I wish it would have ended differently, but I'll never forget what my eyes saw.
Yeah, this to me, I'm so proud of this. I know I'm not like a Pinehurst resident, but as a Durham, North Carolina resident, as a guy who went to the flagship North Carolina State School, I'm so proud of this one for the state of North Carolina. And I know sometimes there's a little grief given for anchor sites, but when you have a U.S. Open like this and it's guaranteed to come back, in future years, that's sick. Like I'm already cannot wait to see the next U.S. Open played at Pinehurst #2 the way this one played. And honestly, it gave me much more of an appreciation of the course, from before. I always liked it, but just seeing the way it played this week, I'm like, man, this is so awesome. I love this. I can't wait to see another one. And we have Oakmont next year, which will be a different type of test, but another one that should hold a lot of entertainment value.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been a fun week. Looking forward to the rest of the year. We got a lot of stuff in the burner. Shout out to Jackson. I'm sure he's on listening. He's been crushing it. So hopefully y'all enjoy the upgrade in some of our socials, and we're excited to keep on pumping stuff out.
Yeah, Jackson, heck of a job this week, buddy. Crushing the content. Saw him in the comments earlier, so appreciate you joining us here. And that's about all we got. So here's what we're going to do now is I'm going to play the outro 5 to 7 times, and then at a certain point, this is going to cut off. But I'd like for you all to stay and hear the outro music because it's going to happen a lot. So
if you weren't here for the intro, he played it about 7 times because he said he couldn't hear it, but everybody else heard it, and it was a tough scene.
Let's pull back the curtain. I had my mic plugged in, or I had my headphones plugged into my mic because earlier we're trying to troubleshoot some tech stuff, and then I was playing it and I had to switch. You guys don't care. It's just, we'll be better next time. The important part.
I want to be able to use my mic, but apparently like my stuff doesn't work for Restream. So we'll get that sorted out so it doesn't sound like I'm talking through a walkie-talkie.
Yes, we'll figure that out. Sound quality is surprisingly not terrible, but we'll get better. We're always striving to get better, and we appreciate you guys joining along for the ride. And all the comments, we had a robust chat section today. I love seeing that. It was fun to kind of have.
Winter's coming. The Game of Thrones in this chat just absolutely destroyed me.
Oh, I love it so much.
AV needs to be our full-time moderator on the chat just to get people going.
Yes, we need that. AV, of course. Thanks for joining, buddy. Always good seeing you. That's all for us. We appreciate you watching and listening, and we'll be back here with an interview we're excited about on Wednesday, and then a recap of the Travelers after the weekend. So we will talk to you then.